People change. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worst. Sometimes people gain some confidence, stop allowing others to walk all over them, and really take control over their lives. But sometimes people go off the deep end like Sneako and start praising Nazi sympathizers and human traffickers. But that's the thing about progress. To quote my friend Ksyn, it's hard to recognize. It varies, with some ends returning back to your start. It can be subtle or blatant to see, and there's never a proper tempo or beat. I feel like I've grown so much as a person over these last 2 years. And before you think, oh, that's not that long, how much could you really change, Linpaul? Let me just stop you and say, a lot can happen in 2 years. A lot. I remember before I was leaving for Disney last year, I was saying to myself that this was going to be my villain arc. Now, that was a joke. Kinda. You see, my goal wasn't to become this, terrible person who was just going out and causing all this emotional and physical damage to people. That wasn't what it was about at all. In fact, it wasn't about other people at all. It was solely about myself, the view I had of myself, and the person I put out into the world. It was also about being okay with whatever version of me other people perceive. Essentially being okay with becoming the villain in other people's stories. I don't have to be everyone's hero. I just have to be my own. Sometimes that means other people are gonna get hurt along the way, and I have to be okay with that. I feel like there are two voices on everyone's shoulder. There's an angel on the right and a devil on the left. Except I don't believe that the left voice truly has your worst intentions in mind. I think the left voice wants to protect you at all costs, regardless of how it affects everyone else. The right voice, however, wants to protect your conscience and sense of morality, regardless of how it affects you. A good example is if the voice on your right is Batman, with the no-kill rule, then the voice on your left is the Punisher, who will go out of his way to kill any villain he needs to, or wants to. I don't believe we should lean into either of these voices 100%. I think you should live somewhere in the middle, kind of like Spider-Man. Sometimes you're out in the bright red and blue, webbing up purse snatchers and beating up Dr. Octopus for the 400th time that week. But sometimes, you have to put on the black suit and go beat up Kingpin for shooting your elderly aunt. I used to get steamrolled, played, betrayed, and hurt left, right, and center. But I remained listening to my right shoulder. But the thing is, being Batman gets Robin killed. So I started listening to my left shoulder a little more, and ended up somewhere in the middle. Because after the Kingpin incident, the entire city knew that Spider-Man's family was forever and always off limits. And God won't save the poor soul dumb enough to try it. Now, nobody can disrupt my peace. Nobody can outplay me. Nobody can hurt me. Nobody can humble me. Okay, obviously that's not true. I'm mostly joking, especially in the last part. That's just a reference to an interaction I had with someone last year, and it kind of went something like this.
Your ego is through the roof. I'm gonna bring you down a peg. I'm gonna humble you.
Okay, good luck with that. And a couple weeks later, they were fired because, in fact, it was not me who needed the humbling. If I'm honest, it wasn't really a villain arc at all. It was more about personal growth and development. I guess it was more of a training arc, if anything. But I definitely grew significantly as a person. And I realized it most when I moved back home and started spending time with my old friends. Some of them would treat me noticeably different, and I could tell that they didn't see my change as genuine. But in reality, they just saw me as the same person that left, and didn't see me as the person I am now. They still see me as the caterpillar they once knew, but in reality, I went away and metamorphosed and became a butterfly. Though over time, the fundamental changes began to shine through. I remember one time when my friends Danny, Ksyn, and I were joking around, and I don't know what I said, but Ksyn was just so taken aback, he kind of just paused and was just like,
Whoa, that's actually crazy, Linpaul. You've been on a roll. What gear snapped for you?
And I don't fully have an answer to that question yet, but I do know whatever snapped happened sometime around May of last year. And I also know that whatever snapped caused a chain reaction that has slowly led me down the path to becoming the person I always wanted to be. Becoming the hero of my own story.